Hello there, this is Simon Smith. A few months ago, round about April, May time, I happened to be watching here in the UK the Blaze TV channel. It's an interesting channel. It has some good quality programs, some bad quality programs that can be summarised as pitching perhaps more to the male viewer with some pretty good programs such as American Restoration and the Curse of Oak Island. But among this stable of, whether they're bad or good, they're often entertaining, there are some abysmal programs, even though they do have a certain entertainment value themselves. I'm thinking of Ancient Aliens, which is, I have to confess, it's my favourite comedy channel. Now, related to Ancient Aliens, there are a plethora of other poor UFO programs and paranormal programs, but a particular program that captured my particular interest was the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch. Now, I know that this goes by the title The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch as well. And I emphasise that here in the UK it comes on the Blaze TV channel, but I understand it goes on the History channel, aka the Hitler channel, elsewhere, including of course in the USA where it is the first aired. We are into the third season of the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch. Here in Britain I've watched the first two seasons, and it must be said that this is a programme that will either have people switching off very quickly in disgust, or take on board a new grouping of cult followers who really wish to be seduced by anything UFO related. Now, there is a third grouping of people who fall into neither of these two categories, that both see the absurdity of the programme itself and the BS associated with it, but nevertheless like to go along with it as a sort of puzzle solving exercise to sort of deconstruct and see where all the lying and the nonsense takes place. So this is what encouraged me to take notes on this programme and to explore it a little bit, visit a few Facebook groups and exchange views with people. And I came up with my own take on the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch, and I want now to have a look at what I wrote. Thank you. Okay, this is the cover of my book. I suppose I was quite pleased with myself here. So instead of, for example, on the word the, I've changed the third letter E into the euro symbol, and of course the dollar symbol becomes an S and the L symbol becomes a pound. This is to emphasize the money making aspect of the program, and astute observers will see that I've put CIA in white, and this is to draw attention to the deep state aspects of Skinwalker Ranch in the sort of Robert Bigelow era that I discuss in the prologue of this book. Originally, I intended to cover the television era aspect of the program, but I did, as I was researching the subject, I realised that the Robert Bigelow aspect of the story was more interesting than television era episode in many ways, despite the fact that the intention of this book is a sort of viewer's companion to the TV series. Nevertheless, within the prologue, I discuss George Knapp and Colin Keller's Hunt for the Skinwalker. Science confronts the unexplained at Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. And later on, just looking a bit forward here, I explore the discrepancies in canon between Knapp and Keller's book and the TV program. But looking back, after the introductory sections, I go into season 1 and season 2 with appendices at the back, quite substantial appendices, and just in season 1, let's just check a random chapter, episode 5, Dangerous Curves. This is the summary of the show's introduction. When advanced testing shows evidence of strange anomalies under the ranch, Brandon finally gives the team permission to dig. And this dig no dig is one of the recurring soap opera themes of the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch. So, for example, I will go through the episode with the characters involved, what they say, and my take on it. Here, for example, TT, I use an abbreviated form for all the characters. TT's Travis Taylor and JS is Jim Segala, but early on I make it clear which abbreviations belong to which person. It should be noticed that within the first season, and this is a first season section, we have the dates along with the times. This isn't apparent in the second season, so let's go to episode 1 of season 2. And they give times, but they don't give dates. This is, I believe, because they can film multiple episodes within the same day and say they occur on different days. And their sort of Scooby-Doo uniforms, as I call them, pretty much allow them to blend different days together. I think this was quite a big mistake they made, in terms of they should have been consistent with whether they used dates or not dates over the episodes. But there again, and I just want to go back to the appendices, The problem with this comes onto the Facebook and the fandom is that those people who are devotees, cult followers, if you will, um, the anomalies, discrepancies, and BS just goes over their head. That they want to believe in something, and there are various reasons why people just go into this, believe what they do, and yeah. So maps, photos, and shadows. Anyone familiar with the Apollo moon landing hoax, which I imagine many of my viewers will be, will know the effect, not the effect, but the importance of observing shadows was on deconstructing the Apollo. Now there's a certain aspect that I won't go into the precise details here, where the shadows and the timestamp are at odds with each other, and some people might say, well, okay, that could have put stock footage together and then put a date on a time on there. It doesn't really matter. But if you're going to tell lies about small things, why not the large things? And indeed, in one chapter, I catch Dragon and Travis Taylor just telling lies about their reading of a compass, and I show freeze frame pictures of them with the compasses, and they're just telling straight lies about which direction the compasses are pointing in. One feature I'm particularly pleased with is my application of statement analysis to many of what the people on the program are saying. Now, statement analysis came my way from a gentleman called Peter Hyatt, who was showcased by the British investigative journalist Richard D. Hall. And if one looks into statement analysis, it's possible to appreciate from people making simple statements how likely they are to be telling the truth. For example, here, Pete Hyatt was involved with police work and trying to understand what potentially employee was involved with crime, and it gives two different types of statement that people might make. I did not steal the bag, as opposed to I did not steal the bag, I would never steal anyone's property. And it accords the first statement as being more truthful than this second statement, where there is a need to convince. So, and he calls this the reliable denial. So when people embroider their statements and what they write with a need to convince, this need to convince is actually undermining the truthfulness of what they say. Another thing that goes into is the pronoun. So I, we, they, and Hyatt observes that the people on the whole, most people don't like telling lies, and they will lie by omission. and I noticed this quite a few times in statements of, and what people come to mind are John Alexander, the retired colonel, and McCook, was it Roland or Ronald McCook, who didn't like using I or we, or were often ambivalent. They would start off by saying I and then we and they, and there was no consistency in the use of pronouns. And I look at this within the text of the episodes. So I think statement analysis was one of the most interesting aspects of the deconstruction of the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch for me. Yeah. So, and last but not least, I do give an appendix B, the cast of players, where I look at Travis Taylor, Thomas Winterton, Brandon Fugel and the rest of them. Yeah, I think one of the most interesting characters, even though he's fairly subdued, is Tom Lewis, who's a computer expert, even though he's seems to be demoted to a ranch caretaker. And I can't help thinking that Tom Lewis is involved in much of the skullduggery in terms of presentations of UFOs, orbs, but that's just speculation on my part. So in any case, thank you for listening, and that's my book, The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch, available in Kindle as well as paperback. Thank you.